and especially Martin Luther and William Tyndale, 16th century, made use of Latin translations of the classic Jewish commentators Rashi, Ibn Ezra, and Kimchi, 11th to 13th centuries, whose works were imbued with the direct knowledge of the Targums. Luther was greatly indebted to Nicholas of Lyre, 1270 to 1349, who had adopted Rashi's exegesis for his Latin Bible commentary. Rashi's influence on all authorized and most unofficial English translations of the Hebrew Bible becomes evident when Tyndale's dependence on Luther is considered. Tyndale is central to many subsequent English translations: the King James Version of 1611, the British Revised Version of 1881 to 1885, the American Standard Version of 1901, and especially the Revised Standard Version of 1952. Alongside the close literal method of Bible translation, the earliest Jewish translators were also influenced by the widely held view that, along with the written law, Torah she'bechtav, God had given Moses on Mount Sinai an oral law, Torah she'be'al peh, as well, so that to comprehend God's Torah fully and correctly, it was essential to make use of both. Thus, when a translation of the Hebrew Bible into the Judeo-Arabic vernacular was deemed necessary for Jewry in Muslim countries, toward the end of the first millennium, the noted philologian, philosopher, and community leader Saadia Gaon, 882 to 942, produced a version that incorporated traditional Jewish interpretation, but was not based on word-for-word translation. At the same time, it was a model of clarity and stylistic elegance. The present version is in the spirit of Saadia. With the growth of Christianity in the first century, the Church adopted the Septuagint as its Bible, and the Septuagint was translated into the languages of the various Christian communities. As Greek began to give way to Latin in the Roman Empire, it was only a matter of time before a Latin translation of Scripture became the recognized Bible of the Church. The Church Father Jerome, circa 340 to 420, produced the official Latin version. Drawing on Jewish tradition and consulting Jewish teachers, he achieved what came to be known as the Vulgate, the Bible in the language of the common people. The Vulgate, the Bible of European Christianity until the Reformation, is clearly the most significant Bible translation after the Septuagint. With the rise of Protestantism in Europe, scholars within this movement set themselves the task of making the Bible available in the various vernaculars of the time. By 1526, the first parts of two notable translations began to appear: Martin Luther's in German and William Tyndale's in English. The latter, by way of several subsequent revisions, became the King James Version of 1611. The more modern English versions, such as The Holy Scriptures by the American Rabbi Isaac Leeser, 1855, the British Revised Version, 1881 to 1885, the American Standard Version, 1901, the Jewish Publication Society's The Holy Scriptures, 1917, and the American Revised Standard Version, 1952, made extensive use of the King James. On the making of the new translation. After World War II, when the Jewish Publication Society began to consider a new edition of the Bible, the idea of a modest revision of the 1917 translation met with resistance, and the concept of a completely new translation gradually took hold. The proposed translation would reproduce the Hebrew idiomatically and reflect contemporary scholarship, thus laying emphasis upon intelligibility and correctness. It would make critical use of the early rabbinic and medieval Jewish commentators, grammarians, and philologians, and would rely on the traditional Hebrew text, avoiding emendations. The need for this new translation was the focus of the Jewish Publication Society's annual meeting in 1953. Later that year, the Society announced its intention to proceed with the project, and in 1955, the Committee of Translators began their task.